Today's an exciting day because we're talking about the 5 best sleeping bags and bed systems that I've used for all of my outdoor trips this year, the year of 2022. I want to set the stage here really quick. We're talking about premium quality sleeping bags that have a higher price point. So before you jump down into the comments and say, dude, where are all the budget bags? We're not talking about necessarily budget sleeping bags. These are bags that you would invest your hard-earned money into, ranging from about $350 to almost $600. They are all down-filled sleeping bags, range in temperature ratings from 15 degrees to 30 degrees, and all of them have an RDS certification and range and fill powers from 750 plus to 850 plus. First bag we're talking about today is the Outdoor Vitals Summit 30 degree down sleeping bag. This has an 800 fill power hyper dry down inside of it, so you don't have to worry so much about your down getting wet because of that coating that is on the down on the inside of the bag. You have a 10 denier ripstop nylon fabric on the outside that is nice and soft, isn't sticky. It's a huge upgrade from their previous Summit Series bags that had kind of a more sticky, not awesome fabric. But there are some key features to this bag that I really enjoy and don't enjoy quite as much. Let's talk about the cons first. I thought initially when I got this bag that I would really enjoy this center zip to get in and out of the bag, and turns out it's not really my favorite thing. When you get out of your bag in the middle of the night, I like to be able to trap as much heat inside of the bag as possible, and by opening this in the center, it just like dumps all of the heat, and it makes it more difficult when you get back into the bag to get warmed up again. One thing that I do really enjoy about the bag is the footbox. The footbox is a really nice like anatomical shape for your feet. You've got a ton of room in here, and a key feature, key aspect to this sleeping bag that makes it very comfortable is the fact that it has a differential cut, which means that the inner fabric is smaller than the outer fabric. So when I get into the bag and I'm moving around, it's way more difficult for body parts and things to push and reduce the loft of the down inside of the bag, which then just creates cold spots. And because of that differential cut, you've got a way higher performance sleeping bag than other things that maybe have a sewn through baffle or not a differential cut, essentially, that makes it have cold spots and not sleep quite as warm. Moving to another con, this draft collar is not ideal. It's a strange design, and I don't really enjoy the way that this works. You've got these like Velcro pieces that come together, and it's just not as intuitive or clean as other draft collars, but it makes sense why it is the way that it is because of this center zip that you have on the bag. Speaking of the zipper and the opening, you do have a draft tube that goes down on both sides of the zipper, so that's going to eliminate drafts and cold spots along the zipper. The hood is sufficient in its shape. It does its job. The space to move around in this bag is there. You can see that it's got plenty of shoulder width, plenty of space around the knees, but then down at the foot box, you've got enough space for your feet to move around, but you don't have to worry about things being super constrictive. The Outdoor Vitals Summit 30 degree bag is pretty cool, but it's not my top choice. All right, next is a mouthful. This is the Big Agnes Lost Ranger 15 degree down 3-in-1 sleep system. So what you've got here is an outer bag with a pad sleeve attached to it, and then an inner bag, meaning you can use this as a true 3-in-1 system. The outer bag by itself, you could use the inner bag by itself, or combine it all together for 3 different sleep options with one bag. The first con I want to talk about with the Lost Ranger is the fact that because this is so unique, it's not something that I would recommend right off of the bat for somebody that is transitioning to an ultralight sleep system from something more traditional. Because one, it's very expensive. I think it is quite a bit overpriced for what you get from this and the quirkiness to it. And two, it's just not something that I think using in the individual separate pieces really makes sense for a lot of people. I think it makes way more sense to buy a single bag that is 20-degree rated, that is a bit more like easy to use and has less moving parts and such. But there are some really cool things about the Lost Ranger that have made it a very enjoyable system for me. Now this uses an 850 fill power, so it's very lightweight, and everything together does make for a very warm and comfortable sleeping experience, even though this uses a sewn through baffle construction. When you layer everything together, those baffles are not lined up with each other, so it does eliminate cold spots and it works out really well. With this, you do have a pad sleeve that this attaches to your sleeping pad. You're able to adjust that, which makes it really nice and easy to use. You've got this cool pillow barn here at the top to put your pillow into, make it so it stays in place. I really like that. But the first cumbersome thing about this whole system is the fact that you only have one zipper along the left side of the system, and that zipper goes all the way to the bottom, so it makes it really easy to get in to the outer layer. But then you've got your inner layer that is quite a bit more cumbersome and claustrophobic and harder to get in and out of. And you've got a really simple zipper here that I just don't like the zipper on it. But getting in and out of this is kind of tricky, especially when you've got multiple zippers and you're all cozy inside of the bag and you need to get in and out super quick to maybe use the bathroom in the middle of the night. I've got two zippers that I've got to mess with in order to get out of the bag. But the fact that you've got something that is very modular and is fairly lightweight for what you get out of this, it's really cool. And I've very much enjoyed the experience of sleeping with this. And I would recommend checking out my full review of this on a different video. I've got a link down in the description. But there's so many cool and quirky and fun things about this bag that do make it kind of interesting to have in your arsenal of sleeping bag options. The ZenBivy Light Bed is easily one of the most enjoyable sleep systems that I've ever used for my backpacking. This is such a cool, modular, very high quality, very well thought out system that I have enjoyed immensely for my backpacking. This is a top quilt that is attached to a full sheet system that truly makes it a bed-like system. Now, I've talked a lot about the light bed here on my channel, and I've got some links down in the description for you to check out full reviews and such for this bed system. But some key features to the light bed that make this really, really enjoyable. Now, let me point out the fact that, yeah, I talked early on this year that I was done with quilts, but the light bed is different. Yes, it is a top quilt, but because it attaches to this sheet, it eliminates cold spots. With this clip system that you've got here on the side, this attaches the quilt to the sheet and got all different kinds of ways that you can put this quilt together to really button things up and sleep super warm. Or for warmer nights, you can make it a bit wider. You can spread things out and open up the quilt quite a bit more to increase the room for movement around inside of the bag. The hood system is one of my favorite aspects to the whole thing. You've got a ton of space in here. This is a Nemo Philo pillow, and to be able to put the pillow in there and then have all of this space to cover your head at the same time, it's just fantastic. The Kylie curve here on the top is a smart design as well, meaning that only from about these points here is where the collar will cinch a little bit tighter. So it makes it so that these wings, these sides, can tuck in around the hood and just close things up and make it super comfortable and warm, eliminate drafts, all of that. The baffling of this is done really well. So you've got zoned baffling with vertical baffles here through the torso and then horizontal baffles that keeps down from shifting, keeps it in place, and it has an 800 fill power hyper dry down inside of the baffles. So it's lightweight, and it is seriously just a fantastic system. And I don't honestly have real big negatives to talk about with this bag. It's just so good, and at a really good price point of under $400 for the whole system. It's fantastic. All right, digging into my absolute favorite sleeping bag that I've used this year, and probably my favorite sleeping bag ever, is the Western Mountaineering Ultralight 20-degree rated down sleeping bag. This thing is just the most high quality, awesome sleeping bag that I've ever used. I seriously love this thing so much. And some of the key reasons that I enjoy it so much is really high quality. So it's made here in the USA. You've got 850 plus fill power down on the inside of this, but often from what I understand and what I read about Western Mountaineering, it's like 900, 950 plus fill power. So it's very lightweight. And again, the construction and build quality of this is so nice. This is a bag with a ton of loft and something that I have never slept cold in. Oftentimes I find myself removing layers from my sleeping when I'm using this bag because of how well it performs. Now, a lot of that has to do with the shape of it. It is a traditional mummy-shaped sleeping bag, and because of that, there's just less space for your body to heat up and keep warm when you're inside of it. But everything about it is really well thought out. The foot box has plenty of space in it for you to move around for your feet and everything, so you don't have to worry about cold spots with that. And it has a differential cut. So just like the Outdoor Vitals bag, this also has a differential cut, which makes a huge difference in the performance of the sleeping bag. Something else that is nice is the back of the bag. When you roll over and such as a side sleeper, I don't get cold spots like I do with some other bags that intentionally put less down on the back of the bag, which is not honestly one of my most enjoyable or favorite things about a sleeping bag. They give me the same amount of fill through the entire bag. The hood is super nice. It's very roomy. You've got plenty of space, and it doesn't like cut off weird on your forehead. And the zipper is awesome. This just is one of those things that it never gets stuck. You've got this tape that is basically super wide and makes it so that on both sides of the zipper, this thing does not get caught ever. And it's a nice, beefy, robust, like number 5 zipper. So the way that this zips is so smooth. Got a draft collar with an additional cinch on the inside, so you can really button things up, tighten it up, and eliminate those drafts. If there was a con with this, it would be the fact that this is the most expensive sleeping bag that I've ever bought. Almost $600 for you to get into this bag. And I think the other thing that might make this a little bit less inviting for people is the fact that it is a true traditional mummy-shaped sleeping bag. And because of that, people are gonna feel restricted, they're gonna feel claustrophobic, but for me, this thing is just awesome. I've seriously enjoyed it so much for my trips. If you're looking at investing into a really high quality sleeping bag, the Ultralight or even the Alpenlight, if you need a bit more shoulder girth, this is the way to go for sure. I love it. The last bag we'll talk about today is the Sea to Summit ASCENT AC2 15-degree down sleeping bag. This is pretty unique when compared to everything else that I've used this year. And the main reason for that is the fact that you've got multiple zippers on this bag. This is a positive, but also a con because zippers ultimately add weight to a sleep system. But here on the bag, you've got a full length zipper that goes down the left side. Then you've also got a zipper that goes halfway down the right side. And you've also got a zipper down here on the foot box. So what does that provide for this sleeping bag? Well, it makes it versatile. It makes it comfortable. It makes it something that I can use this in a lot of different scenarios for different temperature ratings to be able to vent. But if I'm also having to sit out a storm inside of my tent and it's not super cold, sometimes you might just get so like warm sitting in your sleeping bag that it's harder for you to vent. But I can cover like up through my torso, have my arms out, and I could be sitting and watching a movie or whatever it is. This just allows for versatility. I can also, with how all of this functions, I can open it up completely to use it as kind of a quilt or a blanket as opposed to a full bag. I think one of the big cons though with it is for the weight and the cost, it's a very high cost for the weight aspect. And it's just a bit more money than I would typically want to spend on a down sleeping bag at this temperature rating. I think there's better options out there. The hood is a bit awkward with it, but overall, because of the shape, it's a very comfortable and enjoyable sleeping bag because it feels like a bed in a lot of ways, but it's still a sleeping bag. So 750 fill power down in here. It's 750 plus, but that adds some weight because it's not as quite of a high fill power as other options out there. But it's a very high quality, really great bag that I've very much enjoyed for my trips this year. All right, my friends, that is my breakdown of the 5 best sleeping bags that I've used for my trips this year in the year of 2022. Great options. A lot of really high quality sleeping bags that are available out there on the market. I've got links down in the description for each of these for you to check them out in greater detail. Appreciate you guys watching today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Catch you on the next one. See you later.